I think we need something to
Up.
Come on, everybody!
Richie, what would you say based on your jumper? What class of Starfleet would you be?
Here we go.
What? Because it's purple, isn't it?
Is it purple? I thought it was like kind of a beige color.
I won't.
I don't know what the purple uniforms in TNG would be.
Stupid.
If they had purple uniforms.
Probably
Teachers.
like film or photographer.
Like Mott got away without wearing his uniform, but he did have one, and it was purple.
Fucking Mott.
Fucking Mott. I let you know when they they're hit by a plasma fucking wave, and they say like, "Oh, hull breach here," and really casually mention like a couple of people have died. I would really like it. It's like 5 people lost on deck 8 and Mott.
And Mott.
Like specifically because certainly like in Picard, they couldn't possibly let a chance to name drop someone. It's like 5 nameless people have died and Mott. Oh, not Mott. I always had my hair cut by Mott, the barber.
Yeah.
As a bald man, I always got my hair cut by Mott. It would be funny if they were like, "There's been a hull breach on deck 2. We've lost 5 crew members," and somebody went, "Oh, who?"
Yeah, no one ever asked. They go like, "There's been over 80 casualties on deck, whatever," and no one's like, "Oh fuck, that's where I live."
I'm also on deck 20.
I walk through deck 20 on the way to work every morning.
That's mental. Actually, I walked through there this morning.
God, just goes to show.
Just goes to show you, didn't
it? It's extra funny in Ireland because, a Mott is like Dublin talk for your girlfriend.
Is it really?
Me ma.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And your barber? I thought you were going to say it's Dublin talk for your barber.
Do you know why? Because I'd heard it 1,000 times before I thought to ask. It was just like, oh, me ma.
Like a moth that's always around you?
Well, moths are always getting into your wallet, aren't they?
Oh, bow. That's the episode. That's the cold open right there. Doctor.
Yeah, we've got the OG Doctor Who fans on board now. Oh, yeah, we fucking hate him, don't we?
Yeah, too bloody right. You're too bloody right, mate.
Too bloody right. I mean, I have heard that said. Because it won't be like, oh yeah, because that's what's like. No, yeah. I've heard.
Yes,
I've heard that from some of the lads.
Some of the guys from my rowing team back in college, they.
I mean, there were some real characters there, but
Barnaby.
But you get used to seeing them, but you get to know them by the backs of their heads. That's the strange thing about it. To meet them in the bar, I wouldn't know them until they turn around and say, "That's James.
That's Joffo. That's Joffo.
Joffo. I'd know that crown anywhere."
Oh, fucking Doctor Who fans, man.
I hate Doctor Who and everyone who likes it and makes it. Doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of loving
you. Hello and welcome to I Hate Doctor Who. It's a podcast about Doctor Who. So welcome. Do you know what I realised actually last time? I've gotten so used to just doing it and just thinking the arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
That everyone knows what's happening at this point.
Yeah, I'm glad you're addressing it. Yeah.
So, I Hate Doctor Who is a podcast where I take people who hate Doctor Who and I make them watch it, which might seem cruel and unusual, but we all have a nice time.
Why do you do that?
Because as a Doctor Who fan, I can't accept...
Oh, so you're a Doctor Who fan.
I'm a Doctor Who fan.
I think you should say that as well.
Yeah.
So your name's Richie.
Your name is Richie Morgan. You love Doctor Who. You love talking about Doctor Who.
My name's Richie Morgan.
But you're surrounded by people who don't like Doctor Who, and you're trying your best to convert them.
Yes.
Or at the
That's
very
true.
least to show them that it's not all bad. There's some
It's not all bad.
little bits of hope, a little life raft to cling on to in this sea of shite.
You know, when we're all lost on a desert island together, and all I have is a hard drive with every episode of Doctor Who on it, every available episode of Doctor Who.
Thank you for me. Even in a hypothetical situation, there are still lost episodes.
Still
So
lost, I'm
keep
afraid.
an eye out.
We found these lost episodes on a desert island on a hard drive, surrounded by bodies that looked like they ate each other.
Strangled each other at least.
Yeah.
They started by eating the necks.
So yeah, my name's Richie, and at this point, I'm going to introduce my two lovely guests, two Doctor Who haters, or one proper hater and one a hater and a baiter. I don't know.
Like, what do you mean? Like, is the joke there at my expense that I am a baiter male, or is it that I am a masturbator?
A masturbator was what I was going for.
Right.
That's
fair enough.
No, Gav started off. Let's start with Gav's journey. Gav is my very first guest on I Hate Doctor Who, and he's been on many episodes since. And in some ways, it's actually his podcast.
In some ways, yeah.
In some ways,
He certainly does put in more work than anyone.
Yeah, our first episode was Robots of Death. Several years ago now. Like, how many years ago would you say that was, Richie?
About 8.
About 8 years ago. That's
Which is
wild.
funny because what is this, like episode 9 or something?
Episode 6.
Oh.
And yeah, I've come to appreciate classic Who.
Yeah,
I would say the new stuff. No,
not
thank
so
you.
much. Let's not get into that because
Well, you're about to introduce your next guest, and he's all about that, unfortunately.
RTD only. My next guest is the wonderful Owen O'Donnell, who has also been a bit of a staple of this podcast for quite some time.
Hello.
Hello. Owen hates Doctor Who. Owen hates Doctor Who, but he clearly loves me, which is why he's here.
He would do anything for love.
And if you enjoyed this show, please check out my podcast, I Hate Richie Morgan, where each week I try to find someone who hates Richie Morgan. I'm trying to find something about him that they can like.
You'd have a hard time finding someone that hates Richie Morgan.
That's so true. He's fucking so good, isn't he?
One of the best people I've ever met. I love him to bits.
Absolutely. I really do think not only is my life unquestionably better for having Richie in it, but I think he has made me a better person as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the way Richie sees the world and reacts to the world, and how good he is with other people, how kind, and it inspires me to be better as well. Mm-hmm. But I hate like Russell T Davies and like I hate all that stuff. I hate Doctor Who. I hate it. No, I do. I have enjoyed many of the classic Who's. I've become a Pertwee stan. I've enjoyed many old Doctor Who's, but every now and then there will be those things that make me go, do you know what, we got this.
When you bring it right back in, it's it's like every time Tony Soprano does something awful and it reminds you he's not a likable character.
Yeah, you're not meant to be rooting for him here. Yeah. You're not meant to be rooting for him here.
No, bringing it back.
And similarly, like they made Doctor Who the program to be disliked, and sometimes people forget that. It's like, you're not supposed to like it, guys.
You know,
And once enough people liked it, they cancelled it. It's like, you need to bring this back, but a lot worse.
And lo and behold,
stick to the fucking brief, mate.
What is very funny is that you can like shout. You could be shouting in a Doctor Who's fan's face, "This show is a lot of shite," and they would just be smiling and nodding at you.
in complete agreement.
But like, the only reason I feel comfortable saying this on a Doctor Who podcast is because I know no matter what I say, I won't have said anything more hateful and vitriolic than the fans.
Yeah,
Like,
you can't hate this any more than they hate themselves.
like, I know every single new episode that comes out. I mean, I don't watch it.
Don't get me wrong.
But I know million Doctor Who fans are just furious every single time a new Doctor Who thing comes out. So they complain about it more than me. So
It's
don't
an
be
old
giving me grief.
It's an old joke, but it's very true. We are missing. We normally in this little crew we have a third member who
On the Tardis team.
On the old Tardis team, but the Time Lords are struggling. They don't have enough energy to bring him in, but also he's just off doing more important. Sean's a very busy man.
Oh yeah, God, he did say like he felt bad, but he had more important things to do. So
Sean is making things that go on the telly, and I'm like, will you come on my Doctor Who podcast? And bless him, he does his best, but sadly tonight he's
I don't have the time.
So
I'll do that while Sean's not here, so that he won't mind.
Yeah, exactly. So like, no one will get offended. You know,
I'll just sit here. Shall I?
do that. Sean's not here, so I can do that without anyone getting offended.
Knowing for sure that he won't hear it.
I can see you've been doing the TARDIS up a bit. I don't like it.
Our journey so far, I've started a little bit of an arc with you guys where we've been doing the Doctors in order. So we did a first Doctor story, then with the Time Meddler, and then we did a second Doctor with the Mind Robber, and then we took you up to Pertz with Terror of the Autons.
As if we could forget.
Exactly. And this episode, I'm putting this episode out in November, which is typically it is the anniversary month of Doctor Who. So I thought, given that you've been on this little journey, I would stop and do a little treat and do a wee anniversary special. So tonight we're going to look at the Three Doctors.
A dandy and a clown.
Not one, not two, but 3 doctors.
This could be construed as an invasion.
Dare threaten to destroy me?
What do you think of this chap, Omega?
Frankly, I thought he was somewhat confused.
Yes, and I'm somewhat confused. Who's he?
Me.
3 of them. I didn't know when I was well off.
Hartnell, Troughton and Pertwee star in a celebration of 10 years of Doctor Who, tomorrow at 11:30 on UK.
Do you know, before we even start, right, I'm not going to go into the episode necessarily.
Okay.
On BBC's iPlayer,
yeah,
when you click on now, Owen, you won't have a clue what I'm talking about here.
I'm just going to mute for a minute.
Yeah, take your headphones off, please. The thumbnail for the episode has all 3 doctors standing together.
Yes.
As if they're in the same scene together.
Yes.
I think that is dishonest. I think that the BBC and Doctor Who are liars because of this. Not to go into what happens in the episode.
Okay.
But that scene that they have there, and when you really inspect it, you realise that they've just put that, the first Doctor, they've just slammed him in there and colourised it. But
no, they haven't.
What? Because what doesn't happen in the episode, though, does it?
So, okay, a little bit of history.
Perfect,
so this
love
is,
it.
This is the the 3 doctors.
I put my headphones back on too soon.
The 3 doctors is the opening story of season 10. It was aired from the 30th of December 1972 to the 20th of January 1973. 73 being the 10th anniversary. But basically what happened is that William Hartnell was contacted and asked if he wanted to do it. They had a photo shoot.
Right.
The three of them were all
So
together.
that's not a fake then?
No. They had a photo shoot, and then they announced that that we're going to be doing the Three Doctors. So I think that the story is that went out,
Okay.
and then
So it was extra disappointing.
Oh, is this going to wait a minute? Is this going to be a fucking story where it's like, it turned out something someone died and he couldn't do it, and you're an arsehole for making it out like they're liars? Is that what this story is? Because you can forget it.
Dead liar.
So basically what happened was, so
They died from lies.
The reason Hartnell had to leave the show in the first place was because he was ill. He was quite ill.
Fucking knew it.
Yeah, sorry, Gav. But basically, so the way that Terrence Dicks tells the story on the DVD is that, and Barry Letts, he gets a phone call from William Hartnell's wife, and she's like, William Hartnell, that's what she calls her husband. William seems to think that he's doing a Doctor Who, is that right? And they're like, yeah, we haven't quite finalised it yet, but that's what's happening. And she was like, no. Essentially,
she said, I hate Doctor Who.
I hate Doctor Who.
Doctor.
Do you know what? That's fucking Heather McIntyre for you, though, isn't it? That's classic Heather McIntyre.
Fast clicks. So yeah, no. Basically, she said, look, when you did that photo shoot, you must have had him on one of his good days because he's not. He's really, really unwell. And
we're writing down all of his recipes right now in preparation.
So yeah, essentially what happened was they're like, we need to find a way to get him in the episode, to have him in the episode, because it's called Three Doctors, and we've already, made all these plans. So they're like,
I've
okay,
already
so they
typed the title on this script. I mean, I don't care if I have to dig him out of the fucking ground myself.
Do you think people are going to watch the Two Doctors?
Nobody gives a fuck about Two Doctors.
So yeah, they filmed him in a studio, and literally he's sitting on a seat and someone's holding. I mean, you can tell he's reading cue cards, but they're holding up cue cards and he's just reading them, and then they just splice it into the.
Because I was so sure that during it that it's like, because in the episode they're like, right, no, you know what? Let's stop messing about. Let's get you out of that fucking dimension. And I'm like, oh, the last episode he's going to show up and they're going to see that bit on the thumbnail.
I know.
Oh no chance. Liars.
I think that would have been a perfect chance to take a big piece of paper and write, "You're listening to I Hate Doctor Who." He just, he would just autopilot it, and then you've got it.
Yep, it's in the archives.
It hurt in the moment, but we did get the shot.
Imagine finding that in a Nigerian TV station. We don't know what this means. We've watched this one bit. It says, "Welcome to I Hate Doctor Who."
I mean, there must be a lot of audio and video lying around of William Hartnell saying, "I hate Doctor Who." You could definitely get that audio.
This is what you want us to get. Like
when he broke the fourth wall and raised the drink. And to
I
all
never
you
did,
at home, I hate Doctor Who.
If we get this podcast big enough, they'll have to reference it in the show because they can't help themselves in modern day. That someone will go, "I hate Doctor Who."
The problem is Russell T Davies would have to get past my opening monologue about hating Russell T Davies in every.
You never know, man. You might be into it.
God, it would be so wonderful to think of like how many thousands of Doctor Who podcasts would be furious that out of all of them, one that gets a shout out. But Richie, you're already better than they are because, as we've already talked about, you're the only I Hate Doctor Who podcast with a regular guest who is canonically in the Whoniverse.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Let's not explain.
Let's not dwell on it. Let's not explain it.
Let's
have everyone like
it just is a fact, and it's very funny that that's a fact.
Refuse to expand upon it. But
Just-
let's suffice it to say that when you go on to sites like where you can get like video shout outs, etc.,
Mhm.
and the guy who plays the silence is charging 80 quid.
He's hired his rates.
Someone on this podcast could be charging a lot more.
I tell you, see if fucking Bill Baggs found out about you, the BBV guy. It'd be over, or it'd be the start of something special. We need to get. I'm just making references to things you don't know about, but like you get your myth, the Owen O'Donnell Mythmakers tape. That'd be good.
I mean, look, 20 £20. I'll do just about anything.
It's true, folks.
For the Hooniverse. And if
I
you're
still
not
want
involved with the Hooniverse,
Do you know
I'll
what annoys
do
me
it for
about the
£10.
What annoys me about the Hooniverse on the iPlayer is it doesn't have a button. You can only enter the Hooniverse if the banner happens to be up at the time. Sorry, Gav's now done a visual gag that I can't use.
Oh, I mean, listener, we're having a barrel of laughter
Yeah.
tonight for talking about things you don't know what we're referencing, doing visual gags.
Yep.
We're
This
all
is-
in costume as well.
got
All
full,
three of us are the master from the film.
Yeah, all of us in those Time Lord costumes. Yeah, no one's listening anymore. So you're 25 minutes in. No one's listening to this.
So, when I present you with the three doctors, what are your expectations, apart from there being three doctors?
Which I think is reasonable.
I think when I hear that it's like a special event, and you know, I don't know, do you use the word crossover? I suppose it's sort of a crossover, but
Yeah.
like
It's the
three
first.
doctors.
It's the first time. It was the first time that the Doctor meets himself.
I lower my expectations a bit
Okay.
because you know that you're getting into like this is a fan sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is basically like Children in Need.
Yeah,
you know.
Like a special event thing. I just assume it's going to be actually a little bit not as good, but it's going to be carried on the novelty factor,
It'll be a fun episode, yeah.
And yeah, I think that was wise.
It's funny. The again, I was watching old DVD features before I came on here, and one of the ones again, Terrence Dix is talking about, before when it came to doing this, he talked about all the fan letters they used to get. So you just get a lot of fan letters. People would say things. Wouldn't it be great if the Daleks fought the Cybermen? Wouldn't it be great if the Doctor met himself? And all that sort of stuff. And he was kind of like saying, there's a lot of, it's just stupid, And it's just like, God, you're literally describing.
Yeah.
But I think they thought, okay, maybe that is sort of quite a nice idea. But also the novelty of just having Patrick Troughton back, that's exciting. He's in colour.
Yeah,
that's exciting. We get to see the Time Lords. That's there's a new TARDIS interior. It's all, but the other thing as well is like that's quite funny about the Three Doctors is that from a production point of view, or I guess a budget point of view, and all those things, it's just another episode.
Mm-hmm.
And also looking at the air dates, it's like the first one was on in 1972. It's not even the the actual 10th anniversary.
They didn't know what they were doing back then,
When the Time Lords were talking about the rules and the energy and sending the Doctor to help himself and all that.
Yeah.
All I was thinking was my knowledge of like Gallifrey and the Time Lords and how all that works and the rules and the Doctor crossing timelines and all this. I don't know any of that. So I don't get to hear any of that dialogue and say, I know that's wrong, but the whole time I was just thinking, I know this is bullshit. Even in the world of Doctor Who, I know everything that's happening right now is just the biggest fucking iron cogs just bending to try and make all this happen. And we're going to break the only rule, and we're going to send the Doctor so he can just come up with ideas with himself. It's not.
Oh, don't get me fucking started on the ideas.
It's not. I would understand better if it was like, we need the power of 2 Time Lords to do this specific thing, or like the Time Lords have to be at this point or whatever. But the fact that it's really just like, he could use, like a second opinion. So we're going to break all the rules of time and space and like use our last hope, that last little bit of power, to send 2 daughters. And then also a third one just sort of on the telly, like the fact that he has to stay in a bubble. I don't understand exactly why that is on a production side, but just like in a writing way, all of this is just
because it's
a total load.
No, Richie, please explain it to him in a way that he can understand.
Because he gets trapped in a time eddy. I don't. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
He gets trapped in a time eddy, idiot.
No, I know what you mean. It's quite funny. It's like, I imagine I got stuck in a bad situation, and someone was like, "I've sent 19-year-old you help," and I'd be like, how's that?
This guy who's got less experience than me is going to help. Like, I just felt that the premise, I don't know, maybe I'm missing something here, but like they're like, this is really bad, actually. Like, this is the worst thing we've ever encountered, and we need to break this big rule and send another Doctor to the Doctor. I'm like, I don't think it's that bad. I've seen plenty of other Doctor Who's where it seems worse.
But
like, no, we need 2 Doctors.
Time Lords, Time Lords are usually just sitting about doing nothing, so that's probably why it seems really bad to them. Yeah,
they're like, I could actually do with getting out. I've been stuck in this office for too long, man. I need to get out of there in the field.
I do kind of appreciate that they've tried. I mean, it is. You're right. It's just, all of it isn't an excuse. I mean, all these things, it's always just an excuse to get these people together, and But I do appreciate it. I think if I was a young fan at the time, I think it would have been very exciting to see.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree that it's a cool idea, and it's an idea that's quite unique to Doctor Who as well, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, I think we all remember when Captain Steve Rogers almost lifted Mjolnir in that film. I think we all remember that, don't we?
Oh yeah. I
mean, it's part of our modern day mythology, But to then see him lift it, that's laying groundwork. That's the modern day version of the 2 Doctors in my mind.
I do love casually mentioning like Mjolnir as our our modern day mythology.
It's a modern day mythology,
Yeah, when Stanley invented that hammer. I do want to say I'm not down on the Doctors crossing paths. That's fun. I'm all for it. I just mean, like, the fact that the plan was, we're going to send 2 Doctors. We're going to break the ultimate rule twice in one go, so that they can come up with plans together.
Yeah.
Like, instead of like, I just think whatever the problem was could have been a bit more, we need to harness the power of 3 Time Lords. Just some situation where we really actually do need them to cross their paths. because of a time thing. I don't know.
There's two buttons and they're dead far apart.
Yeah. But it's like the keyholes are for their 3 hearts to lock into.
Of course.
And they spin on the spot, they lock in and
That's vivid imagery, man. You've got a future in showbiz, kid.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Gavin, I'm already in the Who-niverse. What more do you want?
I know.
It is funny, like, I think watching this off the back of Terror of the Autons being the last one, and it really made me appreciate just how utterly insane and action-packed Terror of the Autons was, because this feels... I don't dislike the Three Doctors. I quite like it, but it's a much more... Despite the exciting event that's happening, it's a much more kind of easy-paced...
Yeah, it's very... That's what I think the tone generally feels a bit, as you say, like it's slower, it's more relaxed, and it feels like that's that kind of disparity between how, like, this is the biggest threat we've ever faced. We need another doctor. We need 2 other doctors, actually. But at the same time, everyone's just kind of like, oh, what's that mad radioactive thing? Oh, shoot it, man. Don't worry about it. Bullets don't do anything. We've proven that. Oh, shoot it again. Maybe 2 bullets will work.
That's the thing. Like, when you do things like this, and like you have a central like hook, like the 3 doctors are going to show up, I just feel like everything else kind of has a like, well, don't worry about it, because at the end of the day, we've got the 3 doctors. Like our story is kind of, you're guaranteed this is, a blockbuster moment. This is, Doctor Who history locked in, and everything else around it.
I guess we can afford to make this a little bit dull. But it's to say, it's like we've got this big threat, something to do with cosmic rays, or something or other.
A game warden has come across a balloon, and now he's disappeared.
Do you know what I wrote down about that game warden? He looks like Charlie Chuck. He does. And I was like, I don't know if anyone will know who I mean by Charlie Chuck. And I was like conflicted whether I should bring it up. But then I thought
the Doctor Who.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Men over 45. Well, no.
Someone just opened their eyes on a plane. They were half asleep listening to the podcast, and then
stewardess.
Doing the Home Alone jump up with Charlie Chuck.
Does this plane have parachutes?
Immediately asking if there's got any booze. Got any booze fit, baby?
So since we're going through the episodes one by one with our notes now, we've mentioned the balloon and the game warden going missing, and I have here, imagine your husband was missing and the people who show up to look into it are dressed like Joe Grant and the Doctor. And then they leave on a clown car.
He'll be fine.
Like, imagine that, like, my husband is missing and those 2 people just show up and go like, what? And you say there was a balloon?
Yeah.
All right. And go to burp, burp.
There you go.
on the yellow funny car.
Yeah. That's
it. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to see my husband again.
I do love the dynamic between the husband and wife, how she's just like, he'll be fine. He's just out.
He's always out. Don't worry about it. Then the shit she gives him later doesn't match up.
Okay, Gavin, you're jumping ahead.
You can't win with these lassies, you know what I mean?
So I don't know where to go from there. I think
because we go to Unit, and the thing that I have from there is when they're all chatting away in Unit, they have Unit mugs in Tardis blue.
Oh, that's good, isn't it?
And I'm like, I want one of those mugs.
Yeah.
They've got me now. That's how you know you don't mind Doctor Who that much. But you can't hate it that much.
So that's the first appearance of like this Unit lab that they have.
Oh, really?
In it for quite a while after that, yeah. Like a sort of standing set that they have.
That explains why the scientist starts, feeling everything up, having a go of everything.
Yeah.
Because I realize now that that's kind of like basically look around our set and look at all the unit stuff. So he's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll just use this for a bit, use this. And the Brigadier is in a huff that the scientist is just helping himself.
Yeah, he doesn't like that. He's like, well.
But I say to the Brigadier, if you refuse to set boundaries, what do you expect? People are going to walk all over you.
Yeah.
Like he's got a gun.
Yeah.
And
you need
he's
to stand
just
up for
standing
yourself.
there like with his arms folded, like, so he's using all our stuff.
He's running the taps.
Fucking say to him.
Oh, he's using all the soap.
He's not put the soap back in the dish.
He's drinking the tea. He's using my mug.
I mean, you'll remember
that's my TARDIS blue mug.
They have that amazing cosmic ray detector, the big like orange lunchbox looking thing.
Just the other time at the place that I work in has a canteen, right? And they have like
bragging
crap narrow mugs. Like, do you know where like a mug's really narrow at the bottom and sort of slightly less narrow at the top? And that's all they have. And I went up one day to make my tea, and I've got a bright yellow mug, and it has a TARDIS on it, right? That's what's on it. And
it couldn't say more. Richie's mug.
This is not. And then I put the kettle on, put the mug down next to it, went to the toilet, came back, and my mug was gone. And there was an old lady sitting in the middle of the cafe, just drinking tea at my TARDIS mug.
Yeah, are you? It's like I couldn't believe it. I kept pouring the water, and it just kept going. It just so much tea in here.
Raging. That's so. I
thought you were going to tell me that you looked down at the mug and it started morphing into one of the boring, thin white mugs. It's like no. And you pick it up and you see underneath it says Regis. It's like fuck no.
My good mug.
Corporate takeover.
But
News were right. It turned my mug into a drone.
UNA has that thing where it's like, how top secret? Like all the top secret organizations, Doctor Who, it's like, how top secret are you? Because there seems to be a lot of people just sort of coming and going.
And folk who just have like jobs that don't necessarily require any skill.
Yeah, it's like Torchwood. It's like Torchwood. We are super secret organization, but also our car has flashing lights on it.
Listen, let's not.
I'm not. Well, it's not going to Torchwood. We won't go into Torchwood.
No, I'm not. You can go into Torchwood all you like. Just don't say anything bad about it. That's all. But yeah, so they have the Charlie Chuck had found the device, the cosmic ray detector thing that makes a sort of an X-ray, if you will, of cosmic rays. And it reminded me, I was like, remember that cartoon where the characters, they went on a outer space adventure and got hit by cosmic rays, and the four were changed forever in most fantastic ways. I can't remember what it was called.
Oh yeah.
How many of them were there?
Four, I think, in total.
Okay.
If but yeah, I can't remember. But they said the thing that really made me laugh in the episode was the guy was like, "These readings are crazy. Everyone's seen these readings. No one knows what to make of them. The Yanks have seen them. The other lot." And I was like, oh.
He was talking about the Ulster division of UNIT. Seldom talk about, or maybe it was a reference to Torchwood.
Oh, well.
Oh my god!
They laid the seeds for so many years. Finally,
I don't want to use the word seeds in reference to Torchwood. But well, there's a good dynamic set up in that scene. We got the grumpy Brigadier, and the Doctor who doesn't quite take him. There's respect there, but also.
Well, that's one of the things that I really liked was the Brigadier's like earnestly like, is there something I can do to help? And he's like, yeah, pass me that.
The rod, yeah.
The rod, and he just stirs his tea with it. And I was like, oh, that's such an arsehole move. I love it.
It's a funny thing. All the science chat reminds me that I think this period, I won't get into it. It's a whole thing. But this period in Doctor Who can never decide whether or not it's set present day or 1980.
Right.
So that's why it's like the Brigadier's got video calls and there's all sort of this mad technology that is slightly futuristic, but not quite. But also, it's just this world of Doctor Who where I guess everyone's a wee bit sleeker and better.
Yeah.
We've got video phones already.
Just to be like, the Brigadier knows about Live Aid.
And he doesn't like it.
No, he's not happy at all. Not happy at all.
Richie, are you a fan of the Brigadier?
Yeah.
Like, is the Brigadier one of those characters where when he shows up, you're like, oh, great.
Yeah. He's beloved. A beloved character.
Is it Nicholas Courtney?
Nicholas Courtney, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Brigadier, he's right up until he has he's got some Fourth Doctor stuff. He does he's got a couple of Fifth Doctors. Does he have a sixth? I don't think he does have a sixth. But he does have a Sylvester
I remember
McCoy.
there was an interview who says, I'd rather die than do a scene with Colin Baker.
Yeah, he did. He came back and did a Sylvester McCoy one, and then of course he doesn't.
Well, there you go.
His last one is he's in the Sarah Jane Adventures 2-parter. He's quite old.
Man,
Oh!
do you know the thing that annoys me about that is that I would be watching it and I would maybe get a little bit teary about it now.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
knowing what I know now, maybe get a bit teary about it.
And what Sarah Jane at the time had no idea.
Like there's an episode in the new ones. It was after the actor died, and it's like it's sort of a scene where the Doctor keeps he's trying to avoid his own death, and he's doing all these. He's just having a bit of a long thing where he's doing mad things, and he's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to go visit the Brigadier," and he phones up, and the nursing home's like, "Actually, he's dead."
Oh.
And
Actually,
he's dead.
Let me just have a quick look around.
And every day he was like, pour a brandy because I think the Doctor's going to turn up, and you didn't. So, and anyway, it's just a little moment where he has a realization about his own mortality. But what was funny is at the time, I remember my girlfriend at the time, her brother is mad into Doctor Who as well, and we were sitting on the couch together, and she sort of did a sigh, and she's like, "That'll be my brother crying right now," and I'm sitting there going.
No,
clenching my jaw.
That is very sweet and sad.
Yeah. See, I don't like that. But even then, like those like the Doctor Who toys that you'd get in B&M, etc. I've got like the robot from Robot, and I've got like a Tom Baker in like Highland gear.
Oh yeah,
but I'm sure we've got one still because we bought a few when they came because we've got friends who are Doctor Who fans and they're like, look out for these ones, and it's the unit. I've
got the unit one.
Yeah, and I'm like, maybe I should dig that out because that'd be awesome.
The Brigadier figure is quite good. It comes with a Sergeant Benton and a Captain Yates as well.
What more can you ever want? Did you think that the face in the radiograph was the worst thing you've ever seen in terms of like just actual proper horror X-Files fucking stretched face?
It was kind of scary. I thought that face was kind of scary.
That's the scariest thing I think I've seen in Doctor Who from a pure like kind of like almost like analog horror.
But also it reminded me because the other one I found a bit unsettling as well was in Terror of the Autons when he's looking at the plastic and he zooms it in I think it's in a microscope or something and he sees the face. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But the face on the X-ray he's like, oh, there's your fella at the game. No, that was the scientist, isn't it?
Was it the scientist guy? I wasn't sure if it was him or Charlie Chuck.
So some bobbly guys turn up with I quite like their light up claws.
Mm-hmm. They're good.
And obviously unit going to full force.
I still don't know the rationale behind them, like in terms of why they look like they look. Why do they look that way, and why are they necessarily there?
I don't. Well, is it not that the whole thing is concentrated on getting the Doctor?
Oh yeah, no, they're after the Doctor because of the. But I was like, what? Why are they big bobbly crab men? I
think it's because they're meant to be. They've everything has been made by Omega in this antimatter universe. Right. So I guess it's just like they look like the walls.
Oh.
But also, bubble wrap was quite new at that point.
So yeah, we'll just paint this. It's for
Yeah.
kids.
And mint arrows.
And mint arrows.
Yeah, of course, mint arrows.
Or like more like an orange arrow.
I'm sorry.
You can edit around that.
More like, say, I'll go again.
And that's 3, 2.
Like an orange arrow.
Good one, man.
Just drop that in.
Good one, man.
Very funny.
It's also like that radiation effect is, again, I don't know if the sort of radiation monster, if you will, I either hate that effect or it's one of the most stylish things I've ever seen on TV.
Oh yeah, that's a whole mad process. They like filmed a blanket and then smeared it out of focus and then did some weird digital thing to it. It's yeah.
I really liked it because, like, what is fun watching these like science fiction, low budget science fiction from this time is that, like, it's very easy to jump straight to that looks rubbish. It looks so bad. It doesn't look real at all. But what you get is stuff that is like, you don't see something that looks like that anywhere else.
Yeah, that's like
that monster I haven't seen. You can immediately say that looks terrible, or you can say, well, I've never seen that effect.
I think that's why I was so
ever
conflicted
before
by
or
it. Yeah.
since. And I think it's like, in a way, it's quite cool. And like those bubble monsters as well. Like when you just picture people in, like, with so little money and probably not a lot of time, but expected to come up with completely new monsters all the time, and just getting variations out of that. Like, I mean, I don't think many people would sit down designing a monster now and necessarily go, what about, like, there's sort of loads of bubbles, but they have crab claws. That would be so far down the list of things you would think about. There's like so many things like go straight for a humanoid sort of thing, or like a dog. Or like, what would you even call that blob of bubbles? I'd be curious to see what if they came back in modern effects, like what would they look like?
Or like what did the script describe them as?
Yeah.
Probably just, it's a monster, it's for kids.
We've got 3 doctors, who cares?
Yeah.
No, it's funny. I like, on that subject, I think about, like, it's one of the things I think about sometimes is way back when Gav and Phil did The Greatest Show in the Galaxy.
Hello.
And you talked about, when you were talking about the Gods of Ragnarok, and you mentioned that Mark in one of the previous episodes had made reference to the Gods of Ragnarok. So you were like, oh, I thought maybe there were more of a thing in the show. And you realize that, like, just every individual Doctor Who story has something that's so unlike anything else from the rest of it that everyone all Doctor Who fans can immediately click and go, oh, that's...
Yeah, I was so sure they were like, that's going to be a big thing. They're recurring characters that we should know. Like, no, they're in one episode, basically one story, and that was it.
Like, that's one of the things to love about old Doctor Who is, or just Doctor Who in general, but more so old Doctor Who, is like the creativity, the physical creativity that went into, like, so much of it on just nothing as well. I think I've told this story before, but like when I was a teenager, like trying to figure out what I want to do in my life, TV Zone ran a monthly series where they would look at the visual effects in Doctor Who, and they had like on-set photographs of like all these mad things, and it was just stupid. It seemed stupid when you read them, but also they felt achievable. And like, I just remember being absolutely captivated by some of the mad visuals of, like, you know, they'd be like, the one that always stuck in my head for some reason was like, we took a big hoop of tinsel,
right,
and then we put a bit of glass in front of it and smeared the glass with Vaseline so the tinsel was blurred, and then suddenly we had like an energy gate,
right? Yeah.
And I was just like, that's so brilliant. That's so, like, as a teenager, I was reading this stuff going, that's incredible. I could do that right now. And it was kind of one of the things that drove me into making fucking corporate video, but like, you know what I mean? It's that sort of stuff that inspired me, like growing up. And
Yeah, that stuff inspired. It was the real world that knocked
Yeah.
the actual stuff out of you. That was.
But yeah, anyway, so yeah, that's our
But
chat on
the art
monsters.
world's loss is the meat council's gain.
Yeah. We've got some new sausages coming out.
I've got a great idea. You get a plate of glass and just put a ring of sausages and then just smear it with grease. And you've got a sort of portal of sausages.
Portal to sort of like a meat world.
We
I
love
might-
it.
I might catch flack for this from the Doctor Who community.
Okay.
But you know when they go to the Time Lords and the Time Lords are chatting for ages?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that everybody in that scene is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's what
Yeah.
they're working with. I don't know if it's, you know, if it's hard to work with, be that sort of gravitas, the otherworldly, etc. Every one of them was rotten. And I do think also that their futuristic garb and all their gear that they had on should also translate to your haircuts, because every one of their haircuts was the haircut of a mad uncle. If you're going to have mad clothes, don't tell me your fashion hasn't moved on in terms of haircuts as well. Don't treat me like that, you know?
I did enjoy their futuristic game show set.
It's good. I liked seeing the Time Lords. I was like, this is fancy. Like, this is, you don't usually see this stuff.
It's funny as well because they haven't really established what the Time Lords are, and well, really who they are. Because the last time you saw them was the end of the Second Doctor when he was on trial. So it's all like, I think Pertwee was the first person to say Gallifrey and things like that. So
What an
so
honor.
like. All right.
That's why he's my favorite.
All right.
I think, like, I know so little about the Time Lord lore and the Gallifrey stuff that when that scene started, for a moment I thought I need to really pay attention here. And then, like, after 2 or 3 lines, I thought, I think I should actually try and not listen too closely. I should try and ignore it, because I can tell immediately everything they're saying is sort of not correct. So don't let this become your baseline knowledge of the Time Lords, because it's definitely wrong. I mean, look at those haircuts.
Yeah. I mean, if they're not going to match...
Those are non-canon haircuts.
Yeah, they're not period accurate.
Have you got any notes from episode 1 that you want to talk about? I just want to chat. I realize we've been on for about an hour and we're still in episode.
Oh yeah. I did like Troughton. I think because I haven't watched a Tom Baker in a while, I'm like, Troughton might be my favourite now. He's edging out Baker.
Honestly,
I like a bit of Troughton.
This is when you start to edge into real Doctor Who fan territory.
Yeah, you start being like, I like the old shite ones.
It's like when Troughton and McCoy are your...
So, like, fuck.
I mean, he's already talking about, I might get that unit set out of the attic.
Oh, yeah, no, this is it. The older I get, the more I'm into it.
Yeah.
Like, but when they do their psychic connection,
the contact.
I have never had a problem with anything like this in this regard. But I'm also worried that I'm going to lose my mind, like I'm watching like a banned Pokemon episode.
Right.
Like, see when that flashing happens, I'm like, you're immediately something in the back of my head says you're gonna fucking lose your mind watching this.
I always have seizure fear.
Yeah.
I've never experienced. I mean,
yeah, never had
absolutely no idea. But when something is particularly bad, I'm always kind of like, should I?
Yeah, like a strobe hits or something.
Because I can feel it. It's engaging something in my head when it happens.
Yeah,
when I get the seizure fear, but I've never had a seizure.
No, never. But I'm still like, if I'm in like
it's like
laser tag, and
it's like there's a wall there, and it's like that wall could come down any second.
I think
when I decide.
What calmed me down during the contact was that it was happening, but you can hear someone walking around in the background, like this, amazing mind meld moment. But it's just the on-set noise of there's a couple of other people there, and you just hear someone sort of like moving around a bit, and it just completely deflates the like, whoa, I'm mind melding with myself.
I'm losing my fucking mind. Do you think that effect of the quick switch was done in an edit, or was it done by pressing 2 buttons really fast?
Oh, it's done. It's absolutely done with a vision mixer.
Yeah, just someone just pressing the 2 buttons super fast.
Yeah, this is the thing to always remember about Doctor. I mean, there is editing involved because they obviously shoot loads of it, but
Yeah,
like generally, as much as they can, everything is done like in the gallery in camera.
fuck 'em. Think how good they'd be at Donkey Konga if they can do it that fast.
Like there's one of the things on the behind the scenes I was watching today.
I
was
just
like,
want
do you
to.
know-
I appreciate what you said.
So
Richie's just moving on to episode 2 now.
Which is
when
like,
I
can
didn't
cut
nip forward
there.
towards them, but when Omega takes his helmet off and there's nothing there,
Yeah.
there was a story about how like they had to time it on set so that he takes his helmet off at a particular point, but he's in front of a green screen and his head's wrapped in a yellow blanket, so that when he takes it off, his head has just disappeared.
Yeah.
But he's like, I can't see it for the timing, so someone had to lie on the floor and poke him in the leg to get the timing right for him to take the helmet off. And it's
That's
just
good.
like, it's good. It's good stuff.
That's the kind of humbling thing that Omega needs, I think.
Yeah, oh god,
We'll
don't
get
get me
there.
started on Omega. Like the only other note I have is the original Doctor calling both of them a dandy and a clown
Dandy
is
and a clown.
fantastic.
So this episode's written by Doctor Who veterans. I think it's the second story.
Thank God you said that. I was like, this episode's written by Doctor Who. What?
The fourth Doctor.
Bob Baker and Dave Martin, who notably created K9, but also Bob Baker wrote Wallace and Gromit.
Cracking creation.
Wrong Trousers and all the Wallace and Gromits basically. Well, he died a couple of years ago, so he wouldn't have written the new one.
I mean, every single person involved in the Wrong Trousers, no matter how large or small their contribution, is a hero to me.
Yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
they can commit all the crimes they want. I think, like, truly untouchable.
Yeah.
Beyond reproach, every one of them, even if they worked on Doctor Who as well.
I'm talking maybe the people who worked on the third Wallace and Gromit thing, maybe they could just get off with like a light fine. Next one, sort of like we're heading into like beheading territory. Do you notice how also the credits say who played Doctor Who?
Yeah.
The fucking deal there. It's not his name. It's not called Doctor Who.
I guess he's called Doctor Who when they're talking about him in the news.
When it suits them. When it suits them.
In the credits, 3 times in the credits, they confirm his name is Doctor Who.
Yeah. Again, this is the one thing I think if we learn anything or push any agenda through I Hate Doctor Who, is that Doctor Who's name is Doctor Who.
And that's what the title refers to. We hate the guy.
Hello, Telecom. Vandals, I suppose. This is the Doctor. Yes, we've got a bit of a problem. Yeah, call me when you're on your way, will you?
Doctor Who?
That's right.
Oh, I've got a wee... Something's coming through. Something. The Time Lords have sent us something through. Let me see if I can boost the signal.
With their last Energizer battery.
Hello everyone, it's Sean here. Much like the first Doctor in this story, I am appearing in this podcast via pre-recorded messages. I am a telly. Like the first Doctor, I am a telly. So here's my thoughts and notes for the 3 Doctors story, episode 1 and 2, because that's all I managed to watch. The plastic bag balloon looking thing at the start was scary, and I thought it was a big dead Rutan. The funny car music about 8 minutes in is the best thing I've seen in any of the Doctor Who so far. That's what I wrote, in any of the Doctor Who so far. Is there funny car music in the future episodes? Tell me. Play the funny car music for the audience. Also play it at 1.5 speed, because that's the speed that I heard it in. Tell me about the yellow car. Is it called Bessie? Is this story the reason that Richie likes Spider-Man No Way Home? Was this the Spider-Man No Way Home of its day? I lost the link of the version you sent me, so I watched this on Dailymotion, and every 3 minutes watched an ad for a Holiday Inn twice in a row every time, about 10 times total. I like the gwibble gwobble things that appear at around 12 minutes and 30 seconds, springing out all over the place. They have crab claws and you explode from them. I like when the doctor says, obviously from the same source as that organism thing. I just thought it was funny that he called something an organism thing. They really lay into those fuckers. I think I'm talking about the gwibble gwobbles, the wibbly wobbly guys. Shooting the gwibble gwobbles looks fun. Lots of boils to pop with hot lead. I got an ad for paddy wagon tours. We have tour buses called paddy wagons. It's upsetting. Another ad for Holiday Inn. When one of the Time Lords said, "Be it on your own head," it played an ominous jingle and showed the other Time Lord looking worried, as if he was thinking, "Oh no, not my own head." I watched with subtitles and I noticed that the Time Lords, when they were discussing their plans, said, "Send Doctor Who." So the Time Lords have also said Doctor Who by name as well. And then the last known episode 1, the first Doctor is a telly. Then episode 2, that was pretty good. At the end, they made a house vanish and zoomed in on a guy's face twice.
Excellent.
I mean, you know already what the problem is.
Mm.
That it might be better to not have Sean on and to have him do these instead.
My face is so hot from just smiling and laughing. That's good.
I can't, like, I don't know if I could. I might need to edit out that you watched it at 1.5 speed.
No.
Because,
you can just call him out in a future episode.
Exactly. Yeah.
You don't know about the great Doctor Who magazine scandal of a few years ago, where they got a young new viewing team in, and one of them made a joke about watching the episodes at 1.5 speed.
Oh,
and my God, they were eviscerated.
I mean,
I think
watching new or old Who at 1.5?
Old.
Oh, that's okay.
I just feel like it's like if I'm like, you know, it's different for Sean Cunningham to do that than imagine it's your job.
I don't think they were. I think it was like I said. I think it was meant to be a joke, but I think.
Well, no, they should fucking hang.
It was a joke because in reality they were doubling that shit.
To the point where it wasn't even like possible to understand what was happening.
When you listen to a long voice note and you hit 1.5 first, and then after a wee while you're like 2.
And then you go, that's too fast. You go back to times 1 speed and go, that seems dead slow.
Poor old Bessie.
Right, come on.
We're going to zip through episode 2. If there's anything that you want to say about it, Sean had it pretty well covered there.
I think he was a blow by blow. I'm quite surprised by the youthfulness of Troughton, because in my mind, he was ancient when he was on TV in his prime. And seeing him in colour, I'm like, he looks so young and spry.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
I think you assume as well that when something is black and white and then something's in colour, you just imagine
time gap is
huge
gulf. Yeah.
Those.
It's mad to think that it was like, he was actually, he's only been off the show for about 3 years.
Yeah. That's mad. But yeah, I was always like Troughton, I stopped going like Troughton maybe be my guy. But Richie, maybe this is maybe
Big
if we're looking to zip through this episode, I know. Can you explain to me specifically why do on location shots look so different? Is it just the lighting, or different cameras, or film?
Owen will tell you.
Owen will tell me. Talk me through why it looks so different.
Richie's a filmer, so he knows all about this. You should. Well,
thanks, Owen.
I'll tell you what my assumption was with this was that like studio cameras of that time were those giant things, like absolutely
Right.
massive studio cameras. So On Location was, like
Much smaller equipment.
And on film instead of the big cassettes.
So Richie's really shaking his head and his face has gone really red.
Am I close, Richie?
No, that's basically it. Yeah.
Okay.
So the studio cameras themselves, I don't know if you've ever seen a studio camera. We had one in college. They are enormous, and like the sensors in them are really big. They're just made specifically for recording in studios.
Basically, you can sit on some of them.
Yeah.
Like
those big giant, like going live style.
And they had to be calibrated all the time so that the red, green, and blue were like in a line, and just all that sort of stuff was going on with them. And obviously you weren't taking that stuff out with you, so it was film. But you can't film entire episodes on film because film stock is expensive. I mean, tape stock is expensive, but you could tape over it, which is why we don't have any Doctor Who. But yeah, it really is just a case of like what they would do when they made this is that they would spend like say a few days or a week or whatever. They would probably do all the location stuff first, and then they would do the studio stuff. But they had, writing production wise, they had X amount of time in the episode that they could do on location. So it'd be like, this is how much. You can't have it half and half, or you can't have it. It would be a certain percentage allocated to location stuff.
Okay.
So they would do that. They would go out on location, film a bunch of stuff, and then take it to the studio. And I don't know if it might have changed over the years, but basically what happened is that they would, certainly right back at the start, they would spend the week rehearsing the episode, and then on the Friday they would film it.
Okay.
But I think with something like the Three Doctors, they had like different sets. So you would have like the Omega set and then the Time Lord set. One studio would have maybe three sets in it.
Right.
So they would film all the stuff that was going on in the sets and then build different sets the following week. But yeah. But it was like mostly all the scenes would be multiple cameras and someone in a gallery going camera 1, camera 2, that.
Yeah.
All that stuff you've seen.
Or during the mind meld. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 2, 1.
They got a drummer in to hit the.
They had to get that, and they had to get one of those auction caller guys who can talk really fast to call the cameras.
So, Gav, do you know what's really good? See, when you ask that question, that is exactly the sort of question that makes something in me just go, it's my time.
Well, this is what I want to do. I think I've been thinking a lot about where I can bring value to I Hate Doctor Who, and a lot of it to me is to be the layman, the man on the street. Why does that look different? Why is it always different?
It was very kind of you to pretend you didn't know why the outside bits of porridge look different from the inside bits of porridge.
Well, you can't get that thing I always wondered about porridge is how did they get those big cameras into those little cells?
There's one Tom Baker. There's one Tom Baker story that they film mostly on location and they use video cameras rather than film, and it has this really weird, lovely, soft quality to it that I quite enjoy because it's got
Because when I think about this, all I can think, the thing that immediately comes to mind is Tom Baker on location in a big hopper being covered in stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, when he was in
like a space hopper.
Like a space opera, yeah.
No, like
I just thought Doctor Who, like a space guy. Speaking of on location, we see in episode 2 Bessie in a quarry.
Yes.
And when I see Bessie bombing around a quarry, it makes me wonder about how reliable was Bessie, because Bessie seems to like bomb around a lot and in quite rough terrains. But I look at a car like that, and I imagine it's more delicate. Was Bessie ever any trouble?
I don't have a lot of Bessie trivia, but I think you're probably.
Because you were saying the original.
Also, it's not going to move particularly fast, so I imagine when they're filming it, they're going to have to use some quick edits for it to.
I don't know the history of Bessie, but I think you were saying about was there. This isn't the original one. Like the Doctor stole it or something and said,
and he had to give it back. Yeah.
Is it a unit vehicle that's been changed around, or was it a civilian vehicle?
I guess it's. I guess it's been procured. I don't think unit had it sitting about.
I'm just thinking because if it's a military vehicle, it makes sense that it would be good over rough terrain and all that. But I can't imagine anyone in a war driving around in that thing. Seems odd.
What's great?
You don't remember that scene in Zulu?
It only occurred to me the other day, but I have this memory of the Three Doctors coming out in DVD, and you could buy it, and it had a little toy Bessie.
Man. That's how they get me. That's how they get me. A little Bessie.
No.
Anyway. The one thing I liked about this episode, if I only mention one thing, it's when Benton is told, "Watch that radioactive beast," and he takes out some chewing gum, chews the chewing gum, and then flicks the wrapper across the room. You're in a military installation. You're in the army, essentially. Do you think that's going to fly?
That was the most accurate portrayal of the British Armed Forces.
He flicks it almost at the thing as well. You're like, what are you doing?
That's that's as close they could get to like flicking a cigarette at a prisoner.
Yeah. It's quite. I think it was episode. It's quite Benton heavy. Like Benton.
Yeah.
I mean, Benton heads were eating good during episode 2.
Oh yeah.
I probably quite enjoy them in a way.
So I was reading today that Benton's lines originally were meant to be old Jamie McCrimmon.
Oh, really?
Big Fraser Hines, but he was just too tied up with Emmerdale.
That's Emmerdale for you, man. Fuck.
I thought you were going to say they were originally going to be for the first Doctor when he was meant to be there.
When the first Doctor flicks a bit of chewing gum at her.
You know, in episode 2, we've got a lot of wandering around the bubbly halls of the dark matter universe. And I enjoyed the professor, who's a right pain in the arse. He tries to make his escape. Fails, comes back and says, "Well, that was a bit of a waste of time, wasn't it?" In a tone that suggests like this is actually an outtake that they kept in. Because it really is. It's just like this whole bit is just a waste of time.
The actors realise themselves this is padding out an episode. This doesn't need to be here.
I'll run over there and then come back.
I'll get caught, right?
That'll be the scene. It doesn't raise the stakes. It's not like, now we're being chased. It's just like, it was locked.
I've got it, I think, at the end of the last episode, I've mentioned it, but that guy has no purpose whatsoever in terms of story. He doesn't bring anything to it. He doesn't add anything. He's not a key to anything. He's just there.
It's
to be a bit of a pain in the arse.
It's like the Game Warden. The Game Warden's even funnier because he doesn't even have any lines. He's just sort of kicking about.
Yeah.
I think that's what's so brilliant about him as well. At the same time, the Game Warden has. I know his line is like he says something about being able to sneak about. He has experience, as if to say like I'm used to like hunting or whatever.
Yeah.
But there was also a part of me that's like, is this guy seen combat?
What's fun about like why I enjoy the Game Warden in it is because he's the only part of it where the ending feels like the writer's hands in the air being like, we completely accept that we had this guy in the background of every scene with nothing to do. So we'll just make that sort of a punchline. Going home to the wife and say, where the bloody hell have you been? I don't know.
Shut up. Make my dinner.
So good. It is so good. He's just wandering about his big wellies and a big shotgun.
We need to just start putting him in the background of Doctor Who scenes without explaining how he got there. Just there's a sort of, I think there's a sort of like a pheasant hunter.
Yeah, have you ever seen Reeves and Mortimer?
Are you familiar with Reeves and have you the smell of Reeves?
I tell you what, I think I've got a theory about because I wrote down my notes. Pertwee is fucking fearless when jumping down quarries, like just traversing like a 12-foot drop, like a mountain goat, just walking down, no problem, just jumping down. I would be terrified. It's like a sheer fall. and she's just navigating it, no
quarries,
problem.
Quarries are terrifying as well. They're just horrid places full of poisonous water and
yeah. It's just,
and if it started to rain, there'd be no tree to go under. You'd have no choice but to stand there getting wet.
Yeah, that's it.
In their nice clothes as well.
A terrifying thought, getting wet. But I think that's like a testament to, again, back then there was fuck all else to do, so people would just walk around in the dirt and get good at it,
and like actually look forward to an opportunity to just dry off.
Oh, just
brilliant! That's
dry
like
and warm.
That's like 40 minutes of drying off now. That's something.
Beats the alternative, doesn't it, guys?
That's something. And Sean already mentioned it, but of course in my notes I have the ending episode with crash zoom on face, building disappears and flies through space, and we're out.
Yep.
That cliffhanger is so good because every time I watch it, I forget about the shot of the house flying through the black hole. I'm like, that's brilliant.
Oh, like I whispered "fuck." I've got it in my notes. When the unit HQ disappeared into the black hole, I said "fuck" out loud. Fuck.
It's so good. Can you imagine when there were
repercussions?
Whatever visual effects person reading that in the script and being like,
Because I think, like, again, I never want to speak ill of effects, but they do a lot of that thing, you know, like we'll keep the camera still and then, you know, you move out of the scene and it makes it look like you've disappeared.
Yeah.
But they don't keep the camera still. And I think that's the most basic part of it, to make it feel like they have disappeared.
You know, like if you're filming the same sort of area,
roughly kind of the same place, fair dues.
When they were setting up the next shot, it's always because the shift from when the cameraman lights his fag.
I think the only thing that from that episode that I'd like to bring up is there's a great moment where the Brigadier's in the TARDIS and he's like, "Let me out the TARDIS," and the Doctor's like, "There's no point." And the Brigadier's like, "No, I'm not accepting it." And he hits the door, and the door opens a wee bit, and you see that kind of panic where he's like, "That's not meant to be opening, so I'm just going to have to kind of hold it." This is a little moment of like, "Oh fucking,
please don't fire me."
Yeah, and that's why I said classic Courtney.
I need to live long enough to be a Cyberman.
Oh God.
Episode 3.
So on to episode 3.
CRT in a cave wall.
Oh no! Wait, like I don't want to be that kind of guy. I know we're pushing for time, and I know again we want to get through these episodes. But Richie, you look fucking exhausted, man.
No, what?
You look absolutely exhausted.
Right. You look. I think you just need a bit of
just something like a bit fun to bring you back into.
Okay.
Like get your dander up a wee bit. Okay. Is that okay? I promise I'll be quick.
Sure.
I know the fans hate the games.
Get back to Who.
Get back to Who. Trust me, this is Who heavy.
Oh. It's called Guess Who.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Now, everyone listening will, of course, know that Doctor Who creator Russell T Davies has left an indelible mark on the series, and indeed on pop culture. But they're not the only queer icon who has cast their shadow over every aspect of our lives. Join me as we play RTD1 or R2D2. Now, I'm going to give you 2 facts. One from Doctor Who through the Russell T Davies era, aka RTD1, or a fact about everyone's favourite droid, R2D2, from the Star Wars franchise of content. One will be true, one will be false. You have to decide which. Okay.
Do we both give answers or do we jump in?
I think you both give answers, yeah. I'll read out the statements. You tell me if you think which one's true or false.
Okay. Sorry to be a bugbear.
No, you're absolutely right to clarify, and I want to apologise to the Doctor Who fans out there. Question 1. 2 statements. Russell T Davies is a huge fan of celebrity misogynist Joss Whedon, which played a huge part in the casting of one James Masters in fan favourite series Torchwood. That's fact 1. Fact 2, R2-D2 has appeared in every single Star Wars film so far. Those are our 2 statements. One is true and one is false.
I'm going to say the first one is true. The R2-D2 is false.
Okay, and Richie?
That's the same answer. Yeah, the same answer.
That's true. Russell T Davies is a big fan of misogynist Joss Whedon, and everybody celebrating. So, question 2. Which of these statements is true and which is false? The T in Russell T Davies initially didn't stand for anything, but since then Davies has gone on record saying that it means Time Lord. Second fact. While Anakin Skywalker never received the time of day from Jedi Master Mace Windu, R2-D2 did enjoy a brief moment in an episode of the Clone Wars where Mace praised the droid for sabotaging the engines of a Star Destroyer, earning his respect. One of those is true and which one is false?
Oh, this is... You know what's hard about the Russell T Davies one is that he talks shite in every single interview, so that could be...
Could very well be true or false.
Because I've heard him say that the T stands for television.
Which isn't better.
No, that's if anything.
But
I'm going to flip reverse up for this answer, Gavin.
I'm going to say false and true. I'm going to say false and true.
Okay, so the Russell T Davies is false, is what you're saying.
And the R2-D2 one is true.
You're correct in that regard, Richie. That's right. It was very true. R2-D2 did sabotage the Star Destroyer engines in the Clone Wars. Russell T Davies' T stands for nothing. Just like all of the seeds he lays in his plots, they mean fuck all. Number 3. Russell's TV career began back in 1985 when a friend recommended him to a TV producer looking for a graphic artist for the regional kids show Dota Man. R2-D2 fact, R2-D2 stands for Second Generation Robotic Droid Series 2. So one of those statements is true, one is false. Let's hear from Owen.
No, I think Richie should go first.
Okay, Richie.
Dota Man. I would say that the first one is false and the second one is true.
Okay. And Owen?
I'll go the other way. This needs spice.
Yeah, we need a bit of spice here. Unfortunately, the Dota Man thing was false. It was the show Why Don't You? Was the where he got his start apparently as a graphic artist.
So that's a point for me.
Sure. R2-D2 does stand for Second Generation Robotic Droid Series 2. Nothing funny to say about that.
A little personal fact about Dota Man. Dota Man, I think it was Dota Man. Dota Man was the first time I think as a child that I heard a different language.
Oh,
and
really?
I have a very vivid memory of freaking out.
Just so they were angry.
I don't know, like Owen, Dota Man it was a sort of a Scottish Gaelic production that we'd get on TV over here. You'd get occasional kids shows in Gaelic, and
he was a guy with a beard and an acoustic guitar.
He'd say, "My horst."
Did he have a little propeller hat?
I think you're thinking of...
Am I thinking of Mr. Boom?
You might be thinking of Mr. Boom.
The listener on that plane, their eyes have closed again.
Yeah, exactly. Shut right down. The window next to them will shut that as well.
Like, cheaty!
We have a final question.
Okay.
Russell T Davies in 2008 was ranked number 42 in the Telegraph's list of 100 most powerful people in British culture. And R2-D2 fact, R2-D2 has a 10-foot willy. Owen?
I'm gonna jump in. I'll say I think the Russell T Davies fact is true because I remember reading that.
And Richie?
The R2D2 thing, I'm not sure. I don't know my Star Wars that well. I never read any of the books. But I did read that article about Russell T Davies' place in British culture.
Got that comic with the gatefold cover that kept going. And Richie?
I'm going to take a punt on R2D2.
Having a 10-foot willy. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's false. In Return of the Jedi, it's seen to be a simple, baldy half-incher.
I do like the thought, though, of the R2, like, you know, the little hatch opens and out into the Star Destroyer's key.
And he goes, wow! But yeah, Russell T Davies, 2008, one of the most powerful people in British culture, and I think we can all agree, fuck's sake. But thank you for playing my game.
Thanks, Gavin.
A nation circling the drain. So episode 3.
So episode 3, the Brigadier thinks that the building has been transported to Norfolk Beach.
Yes. I think that's
in a scene that went on for quite a while.
Yeah. I think that's as close as Doctor Who gets to acknowledging itself, with the Brigadier being like, we're not in another universe, it's probably on a beach in Norfolk or something like that. Like, yeah, probably. Yeah.
But he has that, because he has that line later when they're in the set, and he's like, "It looks like chroma." I'm like, is this a meta joke, or am I just? But
am I just 12 steps ahead?
We do get Omega to see Omega fully, who looks like a very 90s X-Men villain, and I'm very much into it. I love that I love the look of him. I love that he's got a normal accountant's voice. Like, they didn't bother to put it through like a vocoder or something. Yeah. It's just a normal man's voice.
He's good. I think the guy is very good at being dramatic, though.
He's great.
Theatrically, like, whoa.
I liked him a lot.
Apparently, that scream, you know, the scream that he does?
Yeah.
That's him being asked to tone it down.
Because he goes all in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, for sure.
I think he
very
knew,
dramatic.
If this is the 3 Doctors, I'm a part of history here. Everyone's going to watch this one. So if I want more roles in future, I need to show everyone what an incredible actor I am. I'm just thinking about it. It's very calculon, isn't it? It's like, if I just go as big as possible, I'm acting good.
I wonder if there's like a certain push in that direction because they know, and which is almost unprecedented and you would never get today, the actor will never be seen.
Yeah.
So they're like, I have to be memorable through my performance.
Yeah.
Even if it's not good.
Yeah, I can't even be theatric, like moving around, because my costume also means not only am I not seen, but I can't move either.
But yeah, I really thought that it's like, that's one of the things I really liked about Omega was his use of wrath versus wrath.
Oh yeah.
See, when someone uses wrath, immediately endears me, because that's not the word. That's not how it's meant to be said or spelled.
I remember I was quite young at the time, but I remember having an argument with a quite well-educated woman about the title of The Wrath of Khan. She's like, "Why is it not Roth?" I was like, "Because
grow up."
I know.
You said the Wrath of Khan. The Wrath of Khan.
Roth. Who says Roth? I feel dirty. I'm going to go and have a bath.
But it's like it's not alliteration, but it's like the Wrath of Khan. Like, it works, but the Wrath of Khan just doesn't.
But it's funny because Roth is the correct word, though, isn't it?
Nah.
The first thing that endeared me to Omega was he summoned a chair for Pertz, and he pulled the Edmonds.
Mm-hmm.
He gave Pertz a chair that was lower than his chair.
Oh, yeah, of course. Edmund's got all his best tricks.
Edmonds is Omega.
The villains of history.
Also, we've talked already about the professor not really having not contributing, and the professor has a great moment in the third episode. The professor in a prison cell on the other side of a black hole in a universe of antimatter says, "No use worrying about it. Is he stupid?"
This is the resigning to your fate, though. He's like, "What will be, will be."
Can you imagine? Tomorrow you start off tomorrow morning in your bed, and at the end of the day, you're not on another planet, but a different universe.
This is what Owen's not bringing. Owen's not thinking about that, though, and I think that comes through.
Terrifying.
It's strange that they gave the professor these lines and moments of like he doesn't understand anything that's going on, and he's just aloof. It's like, why wasn't that the game warden and the professor be a bit more like, this is mad, or interesting or something?
I did
it's
quite
really odd.
I did quite like that they became a little gang.
Mm-hmm.
When the doctors were left doing their thing, they did it like sort of escaping and jumping into Bessie, and because there's something quite amusing about them as a bunch.
Yeah, they were like getting in the way otherwise, because like the doctor's dynamic between the two of them is really genuinely quite good, and I like that they didn't get on, but then when they started to flatter each other, they started to get on.
Oh yeah.
When they'd be like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. Well, you should do this. You're better at this kind of thing." "Oh, really? Well, you're not so bad yourself." And you're like, your doctor's such an arsehole.
There's always one point during these podcasts where I have a real question for Richie regarding the Doctor.
Don't try and take my thing.
No, the Doctor Who lore, like the real Doctor Who lore question.
Mm-hmm.
What are the lore implications of the Doctor saying, "Oh my giddy aunt"?
That's an actual catchphrase of the second Doctor.
Oh, so the Doctor has an aunt.
Oh, I see.
I think, is it not down to like a sort of a translation thing? Like there's he's saying something in his Time Lord language, and the TARDIS is translating it as "my giddy aunt."
No, yeah, it's just a phrase. He picked it up somewhere.
I was giving you a bit of a fucking sci-fi out there.
Oh my god!
Is that how it works? Because I think in my mind, in my Doctor Who canon, that's how it works. The TARDIS translates for people.
That's kind of just a modern explanation as to where they go, everyone speaks English. Although, funnily enough, I did encounter it in one of the 90s books, the translation circuit thing. So it's not a new series thing.
Okay,
it's not an old series thing either.
It's not RTD1.
Like there's a no, it's not RTD1. There's a reference to it, like in the earlier one of the Tom Baker ones. He talks about like the gift of the Time Lords or something like that, where one of the companions is like, "Why can I understand what everyone's saying?" So I guess there is that, but yeah, it's sort of later explained to be the TARDIS.
Oh, okay.
And then it's like, and then later it's like, the TARDIS isn't here. Why can I still? Oh, it just stays in your head. It's fine.
Oh, don't.
Shut up.
Now, you can't talk about episode 3 without talking about the abstract slow motion fight in the darkness.
Oh yeah,
almost as frightening as the face in the in the radiograph thing. When that first kicked in, it's verging on. I know you spoke about Dark Place before, Owen. It verges on Dark Place, but there's definitely a malice and a horrible sense. I was like, this is the creepiest I think that Doctor Who has ever got. For me, anyway.
It is funny, like that whole sequence for me when I was watching it, I was just thinking, God, Pertwee's hair is unreal.
Oh, when he rolls around and you see it, like it's like a proper Head and Shoulders advert, like the way that it just, you see it rifle through like a big book.
I know, Christ. It's very, good.
Incredible stuff. And then I was like, is that what Omega looks like then?
No, I think that's meant to be like
He's conjured up a baddie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was like, is he representing him? Is that a representation of Omega? Is that, or is he being so corrupted by his time in this that it's warped him into this horrible thing?
Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking as well. But I think it's meant to be like he's created like a champion for himself or something.
Lazy.
although it is but you're right. It is Omega doing the fighting, I suppose.
It's his will, and if we've learned anything from all these episodes, Omega has some will on them. Oh my god, the will on Omega?
The will on Omega, yeah.
Oh, they never shut up about it.
Do you know what? I think I've got a CD through the cut. There's a company called Cutaway Comics that do like Doctor Who spin-off comics and stuff, and they've done an Omega series. And in the comics, Omega is visually based on Brian Blessed, because in the audio plays that they've done with him, he is played by Brian Blessed.
Fuck, I'll need to tell Lindsay that. She'll like that. I mean, I like that, but she'll love that. I honestly, I wrote in my notes a fucking sleeper hold cliffhanger.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The Doctor's in a mind prison void, being choked to death. That's a cliffhanger right there.
Before wrapping up with the final episode, would anyone like to play my game?
Let's go.
I'd love to. I was actually getting a bit tired, so.
That's the thing, before everyone's fully asleep. Hello and welcome to my game.
It's still funny.
The name of my game is Curtain Call. Oh. As a little introduction. In the mid-1960s, William Henry Hartnell's arteries began to harden faster than his stance on homosexuals, foreigners and Jews. As more and more of his internal bile solidified both physically and politically, it became harder for him to learn his lines on Doctor Who.
Woo! Ow!
The crew, eager to dump this bitter bag of filth into a skip, came up with a solution. Why not have the Doctor regenerate into a new actor? At the time, they had no idea that they were about to unleash a curse that would plague Great British television for decades to come. We now know that it would have been best had the programme died along with its xenophobic lead. In 1972, Hartnell reprised the role in the 10th anniversary story, The Three Doctors, his final work as an actor. Now, I'm going to name some actors, and you're going to tell me what they last appeared in before they became Sludge and Bones.
Love it.
Okay.
I really thought, is this the first time I'm going to get through one of these without breaking? Okay. Up first, Paul Walker.
Oh, God. Oh, see, it's a red herring. He probably was in some sort of shite third-party movie.
He died halfway through filming that Fast and Furious.
Gonna need an answer.
Fast and Furious 9?
No!
Fast and Furious 7?
Gavin gets it. Bing, 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 bing. Okay, I'm going to storm through these now. It's a bit more quick fire now.
Okay.
Raul Julia.
Street Fighter.
That's the one. John Candy.
Wagons East.
I'm afraid I was looking for Canadian Bacon.
Oh.
DeForest Kelly, Dr. Bones himself.
Oh, King Ralph.
Star Trek 6?
It was Star Trek 6.
Oh, wow.
Leonard Nimoy, Dr. Spock.
Star Trek Into Darkness.
What a way to go. Phil Hartman.
Saturday Night Live.
Independence Day.
Jingle All the Way.
Small Soldiers.
Oh.
Orson Welles.
Transformers the movie.
Or...
everyone says it might be something else.
For the sticklers, someone to love. But I think even when you include Someone to Love, the last thing he did was Transformers the movie. So don't start.
So don't start.
Brandon Lee.
The Crow.
The Crow.
Andre the Giant.
Princess Bride.
The Mummy Market.
Oh.
John Pertwee.
Surprise, surprise.
Carry On Columbus.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
Elizabeth Taylor.
I hope to fuck the Zencaster thing caught all of that.
Yabba Dabba Doo, it was the Flintstones.
Oh, of course.
Gene Kelly.
X-Men The Last Stand.
You're so close, it's Xanadu. Jimmy Stewart.
Pineapple Express.
Feifel Goes West.
Oh.
And Sean Connery.
Sir Billy.
Probably. Thank you for playing my game.
Owen, thank you very much for your game. That was a lot of fun.
I enjoyed that game a lot.
Oh, just got Gav won, I think.
Oh yeah, fucking tell. Yeah, definitely. The way I was going. Episode 4 was really good, wasn't it? I like that it started with the cliffhanger was the Doctor being choked to death, and then at the start of episode 4 they were like, "I'll quit fucking about, Omega," and he was like, "All right, all right,"
and he's like, Omega's like, "See what I could do."
Oh, the will.
That is but a small example of my power.
I did. You know what? I actually did enjoy was how the Omega storyline comes together.
Mm-hmm.
I quite like that Omega's like so angry. He's so raging that he's willed himself. His consciousness just has to continue existing while his entire body
has disappeared.
I like that quite a lot.
I'll give them their due on that. Like when they lifted the mask and they were like, "Oh," I did not expect there to be fuck all.
Nothing.
Yeah, you're ready for like, oh, he's going to look horrible.
Yeah, turns out
but
not
even worse. What's worse?
I know. Well, that's it, isn't it? You think what would be that would be a horrible existence, but what would be even more horrible not to exist at all?
Well, exactly. Well, this is it. Well, this is it. You know,
on all this, I wrote Omega boasting about being responsible for creating everything reminds me of me getting arrogant about making a few half-decent YouTube videos when I know I'd be fucking nothing without my friends.
Like, there'd be nothing without the fans.
It was humbling listening to Omega.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like when you see the traps that Omega has laid for everyone, Omega's really got control of the situation and no one knows what to do. So the doctors are like, look, let's go check the telly, have a look at the old Doctor Who, and we'll all... There's no way out of this, by the way. We're fucked. Like, he's got us on lockdown. We're screwed. No, do you know what? Let's all have a right good think about what we can do. And they all connect their minds and go, oh no, here's what we'll do then. If you imagine if any other TV show was like, we're fucked, what are we going to do? No, think about it. All right. Okay, right, I've got it. You'd be like, what?
I mean, I guess it is. Well, Omega's whole thing is will, so I guess they're coming back up with the same. I mean, it was just an excuse to do the contact thing, I suppose. But also, there was the recorder in the box.
Well,
that was still. What was the deal with the recorder? It was out. It was within the. It was still within the force field, so it was still within the matter universe.
Yeah, then the original, in our universe, if you will.
Yes.
And if anything from Matterland lands on Antimatterland, the whole Antimatterland explodes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But Omega's like, no, how about I'll let all your pals go, and they can go back to their universe, and I'll spare that universe if you stay here with me forever.
I love. I mean, obviously, Omega's just in a state of sheer desperation. So maybe he is. I know I'm explaining things away, but he is easy to be fooled. But it's funny that the doctors are like, "We figured it out. Actually, we figured, and we're going to stay with you forever." And he's like, "Good."
Oh, cracking! I'll get the beds done.
They'll be a little bit smaller than my bed, but
finally got enough people to play Space Hulk.
Finally, thank God.
Richie, I already said I accept. I'm very like Omega. Salt in the wound.
I did write in my notes. How long do you think you'd last in an eternity with Omega before you'd want to shag them? But then again, you can't because they have no mouth or arse's hole.
Could you say to Omega, can you imagine up a PlayStation 1 and a multi-tap?
Omega, I know you've been away for a while, so you've not played this, but
he's like,
try to imagine Poi Poi 2 for the PlayStation and 4 PlayStation controllers.
PLAYSTI. Omega Boost.
That's funny, I've been thinking of Omega Boost all the way.
Trying to explain GoldenEye 64 to him so he can make it, so you can play it. It's like, no, the chop was like, it was like,
Omega, it slaps only, and no one can go odd job.
you can Omega, you can like Robbie Coltrane, but like, imagine his face was flat.
Have you seen From Hell? He's Johnny Depp's boss in From Hell, eh?
That's gonna conjure up films.
Do you know films you've seen as well? Like not getting them to just create whatever, just being like From Hell's cracking, man. Oh, you never seen From Hell, right? Okay, we open, right?
Like telling them like to make James Bond films, but you're James Bond.
He's like, listen, it's enough. It's all I can do to keep this place going. I can't waste my will on doing. Oh, come on, man! It's my birthday. Come on.
Like treating Omega like Chat GPT.
Well, if you just do GoldenEye, right? But the thing that I loved, and I will, my favorite thing from all of this, genuinely over the 4 episodes, is when they're sending the people back home. It's the Brigadier's little salute to the Doctor. Genuinely made me well up a wee bit.
I know.
And I was like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that it's got its fucking fingers into me.
And usually you love that.
Usually I love the fingers in me, but now just that moment of like
fingers in your body.
Despite all our differences, I respect you, Doctor, with a little salute. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Is there anything better than the begrudging respect? Like respect is good, but begrudging respect, that's to live for.
That's where I get all my respect. No one likes giving it to me.
All respect is begrudging. I mean, who's like, oh God, I just really want to respect.
The multi-doctor thing is funny because it's like, obviously, like from a viewer's point of view, we're just thinking of it as 2 different actors, 2 different takes on the character. What would it be like if those 2 different takes interacted? But the idea of the 2 of them staying with Omega, some in my head's going, you have to send one of them back.
Aye, that's too much. Like you've got the both of you have to stay with me. Like, both it. Like,
no, but like, what happens if the 2 of them, if the 2 doctors live together forever? You know,
you're talking mathematically.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the second one never gets a chance to regenerate.
Well, thank God.
And on that bombshell.
They knew that would never happen, though. So
yeah,
it's
they
fine.
did.
Do you think that someone's ever pitched all the Doctors living in one house TV show?
It's
Like
probably
the young ones.
It's probably
Now you see. Now we get to spend a half hour talking about who would be who, like in the young ones dynamic.
Yeah,
Like
Pertwee would be the Vivian.
Who would be the Rick?
Fuck.
That would be. I think that would be.
This is going even better than I'd hoped.
Yeah, McCoy maybe.
No, Colin Baker.
Colin Baker. Yeah, oh yeah, no, you're right. You're 100% right. Aye, it would be Colin Baker.
And actually, we know who would be the Danger Doctor. Would be Mike.
This is genuinely. The more we talk about it, the more I'm like, this is too good an idea to not pitch to BBC execs.
This should at least be a T-shirt that is $15.
Yeah.
This weekend only.
Yeah, exactly. There's only so many, and none of them in 2XL. There's 4XL, and there's small. That's your lot.
But what a deal. Please, Richie, tell us, what do you like about the Three Doctors? Did you enjoy returning to it? Did it surprise you at all?
Why you chose it?
Chose it purely because I wanted to do an anniversary story, and we're not ready for the 5 Doctors yet, so...
Wait a minute, what? There's 5 Doctors?
Whoa, what?
What? So...
You want to run that by me again, short stuff?
I'm looking it up now. The 5 Doctors?
But I don't mind the 3 Doctors. I don't think it's a bad story. I don't think it's a particularly exciting story. There's there's novelty with it's always lovely to see more Troughton, and getting to see him do his stuff. And it's really nice when he reunites with the Brigadier and sees Benton, and they have all that sort of stuff going on. That's nice. I can imagine at the time it'd be a lot more exciting because, obviously, for 10 years you've been watching a show about a mysterious character, and suddenly you get this massive chunk of explanation about the Time Lords, like big bit of Time Lord lore. You got a new TARDIS interior. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on, but also feels like it's just a kind of a normal story where it happens to have other Doctors in it, which is also something I appreciate because it's from a different time when everything doesn't have to be a fucking, they've made it an event, but they haven't made it too ridiculous.
Yeah, it feels like it's more for something that's done for fans to get a kick out of.
Yeah, but also at the same
time,
making
trying to sell it or progress on a franchise, etc.
This can't betray what the show is already. It has to feel like it's just because it does slot in. I think it's just the beginning of a season, so and I think that's what I appreciate about it. And there's good fun stuff, and Omega's quite good, and that's why I enjoy the 3 Doctors.
And I suppose the novelty of that at the time, that was being seen by people who haven't already sat through like a decade's worth of being beaten over the head with crossover multiverse sort of stuff, and being fairly cynical about that because we know too much about why those happen, and they're not happening for fun reasons. They're happening for we don't need to get into that, but at the time that would have been just a far more earnest outing of we're all doing that because that would be fun.
Yeah.
And everyone will enjoy this. The actors are obviously on board with coming back. It's not we're not writing £1 million check begging someone who hates the show to come back. And
they had to do that whole thing with William Hartnell because he was he wanted to come back so much that his role, they brought in a dying man to sit in a chair and read his lines because it made him so happy to be there, and that itself, when you obviously you watch it just as an episode, you're like, that's a bit rubbish, but when you realize all that stuff, it's like, oh, that's really nice.
Again, I can't apologise enough to the fans for giving the impression that I thought it wasn't good and that he was doing that. I just want to say that I didn't know he was ill.
I don't think I'll try to walk anything back after my game introduction. I think it would be...
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, fuck that guy. I think if anything, Richie, it solidified my continuing interest and affection for Doctor Who.
And you.
And let's not forget you. You're one of my best, closest friends, and I love you.
Oh, thanks, Gavin, and thank you, Owen.
Nothing to say back.
I'm just curious to see will any of us being nice to Richie make the edit.
Not in the spirit of.
I'm always, I'm so appreciative to have friends like you guys to put up with this nonsense, and but also to have taken you on a journey that I know on some level you do appreciate.
On some level,
some small level, I do.
Oh, I think I'm getting another. Something was coming through from the Time Lords here. What's happening? It must be Sean. Must be Sean.
Okay.
Well,
thanks, Sean.
Pretty damning stuff.
Someone should phone him and make sure it sounded like there was trouble.
He did say he was at a gig tonight, so
it depends which one of those two voices were Sean. I like the suggestion that Donkey Kong was sort of like flexing and posing with a gun and his hostage tied to a chair, like.
Well, okay, let's wrap this up. But Owen, do you still hate Doctor Who?
Yep.
And Gavin, do you hate Doctor Who?
No.
Hey, okay, halfway there. Guys, Gavin, I'll start with Gavin. Gavin, why don't you tell the people about what you do?
I professionally?
No. You can if you want, but like if it's something you want to plug.
Oh no, yeah, you can. I do toy reviews on YouTube. You can go to trdq.org. That's toy reviews done quick. You can find us on YouTube, and we do basically Transformers shite and talk rubbish about them. And it's fun and quick, and less people are watching than they used to. I think that's just a side effect of us coming out of lockdown and that. But it's thank God I don't pay the bills with this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Can confirm if you just want to look at toys and laugh at some jokes, it's perfect. Just bang it on. What's happened there? Owen.
Hi. If I haven't alienated you over the past 2 hours, dear listener, please check out the Infinite Review on YouTube. I'm reviewing the entire universe one thing at a time in a fun way. And like Gavin said, the numbers are going down. So
I was going to say, you want to talk dwindling.
If you would care to give me the kiss of life or death, please just come.
My future is in your hands. Richie, why don't you tell us a bit about what you do? Do you know what plugs anything you do?
This is the only thing I've got out. Is this in a mad twist of time travel? Tomorrow night, I will be recording the previous episode of this podcast.
Oh,
which is fun.
Who's the guest?
So we should be making several references to, sorry about the last one, guys.
Be you, stinky.
Tomorrow night I'm recording the Halloween episode with Danny and Finlay. I'm basically trying sort of a weird, like, I'm going to call it like a sort of video Namaste crossover, but it's just getting Danny and Finlay on the podcast.
No one will know what you mean.
That's true. That's true.
Okay.
So if you've got to this point in the podcast and you haven't heard this, it's already out. Go on.
Yeah. I mean, if this makes it into your fucking podcast, I'll be raging. This whole thing.
I know. Right. Well, guys, thank you very much once again for joining me.
Always happy to talk Who.
You'll be back.
I'll always happy to talk Whoa.
Any time, Richie.
Right. Bye, everyone.
Richie, do my sign off. Come on.
What's your sign off?
I came up with a sign off for this show.
We can't
see who hater. Is that see who hater?
See who hater.
See who hater.
I cross the void beyond the mind, the empty space that circles time. I see where others stumble blind to seek a truth they never find. Eternal wisdom is my guide. I am the Doctor. Through cosmic waste, the Tardis